Good morning, everybody. I'm Roshan Shetty. I'm assistant professor from Manipal School of Architecture and Planning from Manipal University, Manipal. So I'm presenting a paper on vernacular architecture for sustainable development. It's a case study of South Kannada region. So here I'm presenting the paper. So the South Kannada is the coastal district of in the state of Karnataka. It's bound by the Arabian Sea and the Western Ghats in the east. So the climate of the region, it is very hot during summers and cold during winters, and it rains almost for 5 months a year. So the vegetation, it has very beautiful and scenic picturesque vegetation with lush green evergreen forest. So wide species of forest we can find in the South Kannada region, where wide species of the wood like bogie, ebony, jack and white jack are grown in the region. So here I'm speaking on some of the features of the vernacular houses, the advantages of the houses, and I'm connecting how it is for the sustainable development. So these vernacular houses, it has sustained for more than 7 centuries in the region, and it actually reflects the art, culture and the rich heritage of the region. This was the vernacular houses of the region were actually built of the locally available building materials, that's mud and wood and few other materials, that is laterite and other things. So these materials were abundant in the region, and the same materials were used for the construction of the houses. So again, in terms of wood, like wide species of wood was used. Mainly it was jack, wild jack, bogie and teak. It has been extensively used in the construction of the houses. So these houses were actually, the climate responsive, and it well suited to the environment. It also reflected the lifestyle of the people and also the community. So here the vernacular houses, we can find wide range of the build forms depending on the way the people lived, maybe depending on the community, the region, caste and the creed. So these build forms actually were shaped by the cultural, social and the religious influences. These had a greater influence of the houses built here. So these houses were extremely sustainable, and it adapted well to the local environment there. So okay, here we can actually categorize the houses into following different build forms, like depending on the community, their lifestyles and etc. Maybe it is a Brahmin house, it could be a trader's house or the landlord's house. So these are some of the pictures of the each community, where it is the Kunjur Chaukumane. This was basically the Brahmin's house, where you can any build form, the sustainable vernacular houses here. You can see the wood has been extensively used for any part of the construction, be it the main entrance of the house, be it the courtyard of the house, maybe the ceiling where wood has been extensively used. It's not left blank anyway. It's been intricately carved and designed. Maybe it's for the windows or the doors, maybe the structural members. Again, wood has been used extensively, where the columns, wooden columns and the wooden beams, without leaving it blank, has been intricately carved with different motifs and other things. Again, the rooms were partitioned not with just the mortar, it was with the wooden partitions there. So this is again one more house for the trader's house, where they had the office as a part of the build form. So this is some of the pictures of the Hangarkatte Bansale house, where they were the traders, and these houses were built on the banks of the river. So here you can see the robust circular columns, which were intricately carved, and again which is supported by the beams and the other structures there. So this is the Vader Hobali house. This is the house of the landlords. They were the Bant community, where they had this huge elegant house and the huge structures here. Mainly the house had the veranda or the portico, where the series of the wooden pillars were used, which acted as a the meeting space for the family as well as for the public, where the public would come and meet there. So the owner of the house was the landlord of the house. He was the main headman of the village, where people would come here, ask for the suggestions and other things. This is the Erukone house, and the Harkuru Olagina Mane. So here again you can see the massive usage of wood in every part of the house here. So you can see the robust column which were in the form of a musical instrument which we call mridangam or the maddale. So which actually associated with the folk art form of our region, that is Yakshagana. So this columns supported supports the gridwork of the beams and the joists, which acts as the ceiling of the house. This is Hengavalli Korra house. Again, you can see the wood has been used, widely used in the entrance portico, where you can see the series of the wooden pillars, lined in the portico. Again, the wooden pillar been intricately carved and designed. So this is the Muslim house, which is called by Bhatkal Nawayat Muslim house. They were mainly the business people, and a large, it was many families stayed in the house. It was a joint family. So we can see like more than 2 entrances in a single house, where again they had the seating arrangements in the jagli, what we call the portico of the house. The windows and the doors were intricately carved in the Muslim's house. Here you can see the latticed windows and the ornamented designs in the windows. Even the interiors were intricately carved and designed. So this is one part of where I've explained about how vernacular houses are and the features of it. It's in very general. So let's go into the second part, that is wood. I'm going to combine the vernacular houses and the wood, how it is for the sustainable development. So we know the various qualities of the wood, like it's a historic material, it's a durable building material, it has got good tactile warmth, aesthetics, and this length longevity. It's also one of the oldest building materials which has been used for the construction. So we know the qualities of the wood, we know it is a renewable resource also. So when compared to other building materials, wood is the only renewable building material. It also requires less energy to manufacture than any other man-made building materials. So it actually, we get the wood from the forest, we grow, and it can be continuously be replanted as we harvest it. So this ensures that there is a plentiful supply of wood for the construction, maybe for many other uses. So, and also wood is a green building material. Even the life cycle assessment, it offers huge advantages over other building materials. Maybe starting from all the activities, starting from extraction from the earth, maybe the harvesting, maybe the manufacturing process it undergoes, maybe the transportation, maybe in the installation, maybe the usage and the maintenance. When compared to all the building materials, maybe the wood, maybe the cement or the steel and the glass, wood offers wide advantages over other building materials. So considering the environmental impact, over the other building materials, the life cycle assessment as LCA, it offers, it considers, some of the aspects like, like the embodied energy in the production of wood is less, the emission of greenhouse gases is less when compared to other materials. It releases less pollutants to the air. Maybe the generation of the water pollutants is less when compared to other materials, and also the production of waste, solid waste. Now it's become a huge problem, like the debris of the construction materials like the cement or the steel, which can't be reused. But when you see in case of the wood or the materials which are used in the vernacular houses, even both the materials can be used. Mud, it will go back to the the nature. It goes back to the earth. And also wood can be actually reused for many more constructions. So these features we know of wood, that is the qualities, maybe the natural resource or the renewable resource. That's the way for the sustainable development. So let's know what a sustainable development is. It actually focuses on the efficient use of the resources we have locally available, or maybe which meets the human needs. Maybe human needs, maybe for construction of the houses, maybe any other use, while still preserving the environment surrounding us, which not only meets the future needs, but also we need to present it for the future generations also. So, how does wood lead for the sustainable development? So, some of the attributes of the wood towards the sustainable development. So, we know that wood actually restores the carbon dioxide, which is leading to the greenhouse gas emissions. It also purifies the air we breathe. So, when compared to the man-made building materials, it actually adds the harmful pollutants to the environment in process of manufacturing, maybe the various activities involved in it. So, using wood actually, as we harvest, we have to replant it so that natural cycle is intact. There's a continuous cycle, the process, in the manufacturing or the production or the supply of the wood, so that natural cycle is intact. Now, whereas this is not possible with some other building man-made building materials. The cycle is not intact in other building materials. So it is also about maximizing the resources that is available locally, so as not to waste or exhaust or damage it. Even the longevity of the building, it makes it even more important to use such a construction, sustainable construction, in order to maximize the efficiency and the quality for the future generations. So the advantages of the wood over other building materials, we know wood is energy efficient building material when compared to the other building material, and also the manufacture process, it is more energy efficient than any other material. So it just this figure shows here the manufacturing, the tons of energy which is released for manufacturing wood. And for manufacturing cement, it takes about 5 times more the energy when compared to wood. And for the glass, it is 14 times more the energy when compared to wood. And for steel, it is almost 24 times tons of energy when compared to the wood. So this is the way for the sustainable future of the development. So it is thermally efficient and it is easily to insulate also. And it also possesses significant the environmental attributes which adds to the sustainable development. So when I say it is sustainable development, we can look it into three aspects, three different aspects: the environmental aspects, the economic, or the social sustainability, which three leads to the human well-being. So now we have just told on the vernacular architecture, and we also know what is sustainable development. So why is vernacular architecture considered to be the sustainable build form? Because of the various attributes that gives to the environment. Because these vernacular houses, it has sustained for more than 7 centuries, as I told, and it was built relating to the environmental context, using the locally available materials. And these materials, if we demolish, we can reuse it actually. And also it was used, utilizing these houses were built utilizing the traditional technologies and techniques. And also it also reflects the environmental context or the historic and the cultural context. So the houses were a result of the various experimentation for ages by ancestors. It also shows the craftsmanship and the workmanship they've offered in this the vernacular houses. So just an overview of the vernacular houses. This is the houses of the region there, so where the wood and mud has been extensively used. The mud is used generally for the superstructure, and it is rested. It is supported. It is on the granite, the foundation, where the house is elevated on the plinth, And also the structural members, like the wooden columns and beams, have been used. Also, it takes the load of the entire house. So these are some of the images, pictures of the vernacular houses in the region, which belongs to different community. Some of the build forms of the wooden structures. Not only it acts as the structural member, but it is used as a piece of an ornament or a decorative element in the house. So it also reflects the craftsmanship of our ancestors. Some delicate, intricately carved designs in the wooden columns as well as the beams, where in the ceiling we can see the different motifs, where each one is different from the other. And also the struts which suppose the beam and the column. some of the pictures of the interiors of the house. Even the windows or the doors was not left plain, so even that was intricately carved or designed with the perforated the windows used here. And also the more the detailing of the house, it represented that the status of the owner. The higher the status of the person, the houses we can see in the more intricately carved designs, maybe in the doors, windows, or these beams or the columns. Again, this is one of the Muslims' house in the region, where in the upper floor where usually the women lived, they had this perforated windows. Again, detailing in the wooden columns, the robust columns which is used in the interiors. Again, the interior of the house. This is the porticos of the house, the courtyard in the house. Every one of the main feature of the vernacular houses in the region, every house had a courtyard. So this gives ample amount of light and ventilation, and all the rooms were located around the courtyard. The wooden ceiling, where you can see some motifs on the grid. The interiors of the house. Yeah. Finally, I just want to conclude that the regional architecture, maybe even though it is region specific, it has an incredible potential to influence the local, the current architecture of the region. So we need to understand, we need to appreciate, we need to preserve and conserve the vernacular architecture, the rich heritage we have, and we should also enhance the environmental quality of the architecture there. So the design principles and the approaches which were used by our ancestors in these houses, we need to implement, we need to adapt the same design principles or the approaches we design the buildings today. There's a huge lot of the gap is there between the vernacular houses and the contemporary buildings we design now. So also it is not only to study about the past history or the culture of the region, but it should also be contributing to the present and the future needs of the built form. So there should be ample amount of the supply should be there for the houses here. So as we know, these houses have a low impact on the environment over the other contemporary buildings here. So for the supply and the demand should be balanced so that for this we need to grow more forest, and we need to ensure that the treasure we have should be there for the future generation also. So this serves an inspiration for the future posterity, and it contributes to the sustainable development. Yeah, thank you.